Well, defiance on Capitol Hill, lawmakers determined to shed light on unidentified objects in the sky. They are vowing not to let their bipartisan effort fall apart, and they plan to continue their push to declassify and release government information on UFOs, more commonly referred to as UAPs. NewsNation's Joe Khalil is live in Washington. And Joe, we heard from several of these lawmakers at a press conference that just wrapped up a few minutes ago. What did we learn?
Yeah, just moments ago, they got off of this stage here. Basically, there is a group of these House members. They call themselves the UAP caucus. They say they have been trying for months now to get more access and more information to try to understand what these things are in the skies that are being reported. They reference more than 144 sightings being reported, mostly by our own military members and our Air Force pilots. And these members of Congress say at every turn when they try to get some information and answers, they are being stonewalled, specifically by, they say, the intelligence community, referencing the CIA by name here, and by some members of the military. We heard from Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. She says there are a number of three-star generals who, when these members of Congress are starting to ask questions, they are being told by generals they simply don't have the proper authorization or access as members of Congress to get that information. We also heard from Congressman Tim Burchett, who says that he tried to get something into the FAA bill here that would basically require any commercial airline pilot who sees something, because there are reports of that in the skies, to disclose that to Congress. He says that too was blocked by the intelligence community, and he says he got that information from House Republican leadership. They told him that his efforts there were being blocked. There are a number of members here who said, look, if there are issues with national security and there are secrets that need to be protected, they say they will protect those secrets, but they at least want to be allowed to know what exactly the government knows. And they say right now, they are being stonewalled. I want to toss to some sound bites here that we got, again, just moments ago.
There is an apparent an orchestrated attempt to deny us this access, and it appears that that is coming from the intelligence community.
If none of this exists, if this is all false, why at every turn are there people trying to stop the transparency and the disclosure?
Now, we've been reporting in the Senate and in the House, there are two separate bills that both are trying to attach to the larger defense bill. And their efforts are simply to make transparency the commonplace. They want to get more access, and they're trying to write their own access into law. So we will see if that happens. They did say, these lawmakers here, that they're getting pushback on their legislation from the House Intelligence Committee. That is at least what they are alleging now. I want to bring up just one more point. One member here who was talking said a lot of the sightings that are being reported by the military are reported over our nuclear sites and our nuclear facilities here in the United States. So they're not rushing to conclusions as to what these sightings are, what these things are in the sky, but they basically make the point that they're there, they exist, and whether it's China or Russia or whether it's American technology that these members of Congress are not privy to, that should be a concern, that something is flying over our nuclear facilities. And for that reason and many other reasons, this group here says they need some answers.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.